Okay guys, welcome back to module number 2. Module number 2 is very, very simple. It is key ingredients to get you to no money down deal. So in this module, I'm going to cover all of the ingredients you guys need to have in order to put that no money down deal. And we'll explain them to you step by step. It's not a very, very long module, but it's going to give you all those key ingredients, the things that you need in order to do a no money down deal. And one of the things I might just add up here is that a lot of new investors, when they start getting into real estate, is every time they see their first property, they want to make it a no money down deal. But if you don't have the right key ingredients, the right ingredients is the term, to do that no money down, there's no way you're going to be able to do it. So we might as well find out what these key ingredients are, use them to advantage, and skip all the bad deals that are out there. So that's what I'm going to teach you in module number 2. I'll talk to you soon, so let's go back to the PowerPoint now.
Okay everybody, welcome back to module number 2, key ingredients to success or for success. What are we going to talk about this? Well, very simple. Every no money down deal, there are several core components that must be present in order to make the deal work. In this model, what we'll do is we'll cover each of these key ingredients one by one. So what do I mean by this? Is that it's quite simple. This is, you basically should not expect the first property that you're going to look at to be a no money down deal. And there has to be some ingredients, like I mentioned, that will make it a possible no money down deal. It's not just that you want to buy no money down deal, but there has to be, let's say, a motivated vendor, a distressed property, a market that is different in your area that makes it that people want to sell. So we're going to talk about each of these in this section, and we're going to start putting these ingredients together to say, okay, what am I looking for and how to do it. So without further ado, let's start. So first of all, let's close. Next. Whoops. Next. Key ingredient number 1, motivated vendor. Well, you know, everybody says, well, motivated vendor, what are they? Well, what is a motivated vendor? Motivated vendor is somebody that wants to sell, but, you know, everybody that has a property listed wants to sell it. But what is the reason behind a sale? If your vendor actually wants to make a profit and benefit from a value increase in the area, appreciation in the area, and says, now it's time to sell because I could realize a profit. Well, guess what? He wants to sell, so he's motivated, but he's motivated from greed, to make money. So what we have to find is we have to find a vendor that is motivated to sell, but not necessarily only by greed. And what motivation would a vendor have that I need to know of? Well, you know, is he having financial difficulty? Why is he selling? Is he getting divorced? Is the market in his area bad? Is he in ill health? You know, we're not looking for the guy that wants to make a profit, because if you're looking for that, there's very little negotiations to be put in place. So the best deal will always be with a vendor that is motivated to sell because of other reasons than financial gain. And that's what you have to look for. Now, where do you find them? It's quite simple. You almost have to be blunt enough to ask. You know, in your negotiation, and you can't send this on your first offer to purchase, when you're talking with a real estate agent or the vendor directly, if you're lucky enough to do that, you want to basically at one point or another say, well, Mr. Smith, you know, are you okay to give me a good deal on this property? Will you give me a good deal, or you want to have, you know, maximum fair market value? Are you in a rush to sell this property? And if so, why? So, but you know, in presenting the offer and negotiating with the vendor, when I talk about dating principle in the next sections and all that, is, you know, there are things you could ask a vendor if you treat him politely and professionally, and there are things you can't. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, do you have a mortgage on your, you know, John, do you have a mortgage on your property right now? Well, Mark, it's none of your business if I have a mortgage on my property. But at one point or another, this is something that you might be able to slip in. I'll just give you an idea about how to do this. Is that, John, by the way, do you have a mortgage on a property? Well, Mark, you know, that's a bit confidential, you know, if I have a mortgage on it. Well, John, I understand it is confidential, but at the same time, you know, mortgages are public domain, so I could pull title on your property, I would know the mortgage. And there's a benefit to you to give me maybe access this information, maybe I'll be able to assume your mortgage. So then you could save on fees, pay out penalties. So if you know how to ask questions, you'll get to there. So I'm looking for a motivated vendor, not a motivated vendor by profit. Where do you find them? You have to ask. You'll find them naturally in areas where the market is not booming. If we were talking of some cities that the market goes up by 15, 20, 30% and people are buying for speculation, therefore you're going to have more difficulty finding a motivated vendor, and you're going to have to look further. Now, the motivated vendor also, when you make an offer to purchase to him, be his friend to start with. There's no need to slap the vendor in the face. So my thought is you need to find a motivated vendor that is not selling for greed, but for other reasons. You may not find these reasons on the first discussion, so you're going to have to play around a bit and have some sort of a relationship building and the offer to purchase, if I could say so. So where do you find them? Power team, people, and asking the question. Number 2. A distressed property. Well, what is a distressed property? One of the challenges that we have as new investors is that we want to buy what's nice and beautiful and cute and well maintained with the best tenant in the world, with the best area, the corner unit, and the house that's the best shape on the block. Well, this is actually the opposite. If you want to make a good deal in real estate and you want to do no money down deal, how in the world could you get a vendor to give you a good deal if he just spent, brand new roof, brand new appliances, brand new windows, brand new everything? The vendor that has problems keeping his apartment up to par in a good shape and everything is a lot more chances of being able to do a deal with him on a distressed property. And at the same time, let's say that you were buying the property from him and it's all finished and it's all beautiful. Who is actually making the profit on the property, you or the vendor? So the vendor actually, when he put some money in the property to bring it up to par, it was to increase property value to get a profit. The guy spends $20,000 on a roof, it's worth $30,000. He renovates the inside, puts new appliances. That is only to increase property value by at least the amount of his investment. Do we agree? So what you're looking for is you actually are looking for the distressed property, the property that's broken down, beaten up, high grass, garbage on the side, the property that's been not maintained for years. You're almost looking for vacant units. You're looking for broken windows. You're looking for a property that is distressed, and this is where you will find good deals. Now, where do you find them? Again, at this point, it's asking your real estate agent. John, here's a quick tip, guys. John, Mr. Realtor, let me ask you a question. In the amount of listings that you have, could you pull me the listings that have been for sale for the longest period of time? Listings that are overpriced, that have not sold for 6, 8, 10, 12 months. If they haven't sold, the vendor wants to sell. He hasn't got an offer, and you could even say, try to find out how many offers he's had. If the guy's had no offers in the last 6 months, first of all, he's overpriced, and at the same time, it's just not a property that would sell. So what you want to come in and see what the property's all about. So ask your realtor for properties that have been for sale for a long period of time. Now you're saying it, in some markets, a long period of time is 24 hours. And in some market, it's even worse than this. You put on the market, there's already 5 or 6 offers. Well, think about it. Do you want to compete against other people that are actually bidding on a property, You're at the vendor's asking for, and people are offering 405, 410, 415, 420. It doesn't make any sense. You do not want to put yourself in a position of bidding, because then emotion comes in and you're paying too much for the property. So when I say you're looking for a distressed property, that's key number 2 to your success. Now, key ingredient number 3 is equity. Well, first of all, what is equity? Well, equity is the difference between the market value of a property and the amount owing on it. So equity is property is worth $500,000. The vendor owes $250,000. He has $250,000 of equity on the property. That is what you're looking for. So why do I say this? think about it. If a vendor has a property, he's asking $500,000 and he owes $485,000 for it. First of all, there's no equity. Do we agree? There's $15,000, which means that from the proceeds of sale, so if he sells it for $500,000, he has to pay probably real estate commission, transfer fee, payout penalty. There's no money left at the end for him to help you on the financing. So it's a lot tougher to get the vendor to carry a mortgage if he doesn't have any room for equity. Some of my students that have bought the best deal in the world bought properties where the vendor properties are worth 1.5, 2 million, 400,000, 600, 255,000, and the vendors have no mortgage on it. Does that ring a bell? So I'm looking for a property actually that is, first of all, a motivated vendor. The vendor might be, in ill health. Property is distressed, so it's not in great shape, hasn't been maintained. Why? Because the vendor might be having some health problems. He might be older, and if he's older and he bought this property 20, 30, 40 years ago, guess what? There's a chance that there is equity in there. So it's funny to say, but in your research for properties, you should almost ask these questions beforehand. Why is the vendor selling? Is he in good shape? Does he just want profit? Oh yeah, my vendor wants to make a profit right now. It's time for him to sell. Oh, does he have other properties? Yes, he's just flipping right now. Chances are you for getting a good deal on that is not that. What's the shape of the property? Oh, it's in great shape. The roof has been done. The boilers have been done. The asphalt has been done. This. Oh, well, the guy just paid for it to have it done. So who's going to make the profit? You or him? And the third one, is there a mortgage on a property? Well, if there is a mortgage on a property, it's fully financed, guess what? It's going to be tougher for him to help you on the financing. So equity is also a key ingredient in getting you to find no money down deals. Why do I need to make it a no money down deal? Why do I need to make it no money down? If the vendor has equity and he sells the property, he will probably realize a profit, one thing. If he realizes a profit, he'll have taxes to pay. And actually, when a vendor carries a mortgage on a property, he's basically deferring his income tax until he realizes his profit. So, that's already one point that you should have. How much do I need? How much equity do I need? Well, try to find properties that are 30, 40, 50% loan to value, and it'll be a lot easier for you to make deals on these properties. Key ingredient number 4. The property must have potential. What do I mean by potential? Well, you must be able to sell this property, in a worst case scenario. You buy the property, you put a few $1,000s on it, and after 6 months you want to sell it for whatever reason. You become sick, you're transferred. It has to have potential. You don't want to have a property just to say, I have a property, I put some money in it. So is there any potential to make a profit when I'm going to sell it? Now, in real estate, one of the statements that I have is you make money in real estate in the buy, and you profit when you sell. Interesting. If you listen to what I just said here, in real estate you make money in the buy, and you profit when you sell. And this is what I call, you must be, the property has to be a good deal. Why would you buy a property that is worth $500,000 for $500,000? Why would you pay full price for a property? Why would you take on the vendor's headaches for market value? The vendor is selling, a vendor sells for two reasons. He either sells because he wants to make a profit, or he's fed up of having a property. So if he wants to make a profit, it's probably not the property that you want, because he's going to ask full price. He's going to want to make a profit. And if he has headaches on it, that's what you're looking for. But what you want is a good deal. And if the deal is good, you'll be able to finance it. Let me give you a quick example. Property, and I'm going to use easy numbers for most of the training guys. The property is worth $500,000. You're buying it bottom line for $400,000. So there is equity. There's $100,000 worth of equity in there. Could you not find a partner to come in and help you in the financing? Could you go to a mortgage broker to find you a first mortgage and a second mortgage? Could you get a hard money lender to help you? could you technically use your credit card financing and then refinance the property? So when you have a deal, there are ways to do a no money down deal. Now, what kind of potential should you also have? You should really consider appreciation. But one of the key things I want to say here is that you never buy a property solely for appreciation. Because what happens if appreciation falls down? What happens if the market in your area falls down? What happens if the main employer in the area where you're buying is laying off 5,000 people? Suddenly there will be no appreciation. And if you bought this property for with no cash flow or even a negative cash flow, just on the basis that it will go up in the future, guess what will happen? You will be in a position to sell the property, and it will not be an easy position because you're going to be a distressed seller. Losing $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month on a property is no fun at all. Even if you say, well, if I hold it 2 years, it's going to come back to price. Well, $5,000 a month times 12 is $60,000. Times 2 is $120,000. So that means that the property would have to go up, basically, if you could say so, by $120,000 just to recuperate your rental loss or your loss. Other potential that you should really look into is highest and best use. A few years ago, Jean, my business partner, and I, we went to see a building, and it was in Montreal South, and we're looking at this building, and we weren't paying very, very high on it. But one of the key things that we looked at is that this building was a 3-story building, and we could technically, it was in construction, it was a bankruptcy that we're buying, we could technically go ask the city to put a 4th floor on it. And that would have bring us another 20 or 24 other condos. So even if we paid a bit too much for it, there was a highest and best use possibility there. So for us, not only there was a potential of buying it from bankruptcy to make some money even on the first 3 floors, but putting a 4th floor was another bonus to it. Fix and flip. Fix and flip. Okay. Fix and flip. What could I do? Well, if you buy a property and you could fix it and flip it quickly, there's basically nothing better than this to do. We agree on this. Now look at that. Phone is ringing. Okay, sorry about that. That's a pleasure, by the way, guys, of working at home and having 3 lines at home and doing business, but that's okay. Now, another thing that you want to make sure that you have when you buy is cash flow. The wealth in this world has been all generated by people buying real estate and having positive cash flow. It's funny to say positive cash flow. Some people have cash flow and it's negative cash flow. I hear some investors come to me and say, Mark, we've got positive cash flow on our property, but they don't calculate any fees or anything like that. Anyway, when you buy real estate, for a deal to be a good deal, you want to have positive cash flow. And at some point, I say to my students, my investor students and mentors, people that I mentor, is that you never buy a property that doesn't cash flow. Why would you do that? Why would you buy somebody else's headache just because you want to buy a property? Because then you're going to have the headache. So what you want to do is you want to look at depreciation, highest and best use. Can I fix it? Can I flip it? Is my cash flow good? Or any combination of that thereafter. Key ingredients number 5, the vendor must like you. It goes back to those real estate gurus that are out there that are saying, listen, you could buy with no money down. It's very, very simple. Just make 15 offers per week and make them at 45% less than the asking price. Well, first of all, you're going to get your real estate agent to hate you. After a while, they just say, I'm not even putting an offer out. Forget you. And also, look at it that way. Vendor wants $500,000, and if you're offering him 40% less than that, that means that you're going to be offering him $300,000. Isn't that a slap in the face to the vendor? A completely ridiculous offer. So, and I called it a dating principle. Why? Well, if you want to succeed in real estate, you have to look at the vendor as though you're dating him. You are getting to know him. You want to be friends with him. You don't want to get him upset up front. So when I look at properties, I will do my quick numbers. I'll do a GRM, a cap rate, a 1% rule. I'll do a sum of all this. I'll do some quick math, and I'll come up with a price. So let's say that this property, the vendor is asking $500,000, and I do all my math, and I come up and say, okay, this property is worth, he's asking $500,000. This property is worth maximum $428,765. So I've done all my math, and it will actually take me about a minute to do this, by the way. I'll show you that in other sections and other trainings if you want, but I come up with a price, and the offer is never $399,900. It is always an odd number. Why? Because when the vendor sees that you have an odd number, first of all, his first thought is, how in the world did he get to that number? And then you say, well, my partner and I, we've been looking at your property. We did some preliminary numbers. Based on what we have received so far, that's what the property's worth. But John, I'd be willing to talk and sit with you. And by the way, you know, the price may not be perfectly what you're looking for, but also, would you consider carrying a mortgage? The initial offer that you're presenting, the only purpose of the initial offer is to see if the vendor is negotiable and if he's willing to carry. Your first offer, even if it is accepted, will never be the final offer, and your job as a real estate investor is to reduce the price from the first offer. And there are ways to do this. You'll see that when you present the offer to purchase, in your due diligence, in your negotiation, in your findings, in your financing. And don't forget, if the offer is presented and it's reasonable, the vendor is already in a better state of mind to work with you. So I call it the dating principle, and it's very, very simple. You would not ask the vendor on day one to basically sell you the property, cheap, carry a mortgage, no interest, no payment, no nothing, guarantee the rent, do this, do that, on the first offer to purchase. It's really like dating. Guys, you know, when you met your first girlfriend, your wife, your girlfriend, and if you try to invite them for the romantic weekend on the first date, guess what? There's a chance that you will be shut down. But if you invite for tea, lunch, dinner, romantic evening, long weekend, vacation, there's a lot more chances for you to get what you want. Do we agree? So what I want you guys to understand here is the dating principle. When you talk to a vendor, a real estate agent, you want to act as though they were friends, and if you date properly, these vendors, you never know, may have other properties that would be very useful to you. Key ingredient number 6 is to think creatively. And this is very simple. Right structure to finance with no money down. So I want to find, when you look at a property, you always look at a property as though you had no money. And because it's very simple, you're going to run out of money if you put 5, 10, 15% on every property out there. So I look at a property and say, I don't have any money. How can I do this? And by asking the question how, you'll find different ways to put the deal together. And this is what creative financing is all about. You're going to take key ingredients, negotiation, different ways to put that deal together. So thinking creative is, how can I put this deal together with none of my money? Can the vendor be a partner with me? Can he carry a mortgage? Can I get a hard money lender? Can I use my home equity line of credit? Can I use my credit as part of the deposit? Can I refinance it afterwards? Can I get a third mortgage? Can I trade some work? Can I do this? You put all this together, and then you sit down and says, okay, one of the ways to do to be creative in it is to present the vendor with 2 different offers. John, I'm willing to offer you 4 if you do this. I'm willing to offer you $350 if you do that. And then you're going to see what kind of vendor is going to be. And naturally, creative financing is limited by your own creativity and ability to sell it to the vendor. And again, it's all about dating the vendor. So a quick wrap up to this. 6 key ingredients to no money down. Motivated vendor. Distressed property. There has to be equity. Is there potential? The vendor must like you. And you have to think creatively. So this is my wrap up to module 2. It's not a long module, guys, but it will build up. In the next modules, we're going to be talking about different ways to establish property value, how property value affects lending criteria, why property value, understanding property value is important in structuring the financing for no money down deals. So this is what we're doing next. We're going to move to module number 3, and I will see you very shortly.